Hello, this is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com, and today we're going to be talking about shooting on your side. Now, a while back, we covered a video talking about shooting on your back, where if you end up getting into a position where you might have tripped, fell on your back, and now you find yourself in a position where you need to engage, that's a video you should definitely check out because that's a very important skill that I think is important to know, especially because it's something that you hope you never get into, but if you do get into, you would be really glad that you actually practice the motions to be able to be in that position and be able to be efficient in that position. Now, the drill we're going to be covering today is similar. It's like being in the prone position, but now you're going to be on your side. This could be for something like leaning outside the side of a car, or if you fell and you find yourself in very tight quarters. For example, if you happen to be like in a Walmart parking lot and you're between two cars and targets beyond it, being able to get really low and be able to engage efficiently is actually a very valuable skill. There's a lot of times that if you ever use like the barricade drill, which I believe we made a video on in the past, the barricade drill covers one of those positions, and this could be something very valuable to you to be able to be more efficient when using a barricade. What we're going to do is I have a cover at around 25 yards, which is a little bit further than what you might be able to think. At the same time, you could also imagine that if you go to a super Walmart, those places are massive, and there's a lot of area where you might need to take a shot that could be comfortably 50 yards. So I'm just doing this for myself, just to be able to get practice in that motion. You could obviously do this at whatever distance you might feel is realistic for you, or any distance you might want to train. But since I'm out of the range today, I want to practice something I'm not very comfortable with. So I'm going to go to the 25-yard mark and practice the side prone from there. So after checking the barricade with a rangefinder, it actually seems like it was moved, and that was roughly 40 yards away from the target. So definitely not something I'm used to. I didn't impact every single round, so that's something I know for myself I'm going to work on. That's the value of training. Now, there's a few extra things I want to point out with the way that I was actually performing the drill. When you're getting into the side prone position, when your shoulder's on the ground, you want to make sure that your leg, meaning the side of the cover you're going to be going out of, the leg that would be on top is going to be as far forward as possible. So you kind of get into like I guess it's medically known as the recovery position, where you're very, very far forward so you have stability. If your legs are on top of each other or back, you can end up sliding back and forth and not having as much stability than if you had your leg all the way forward. So just like a tripod where you want to have the legs spread out and you want to have as much mass touching the ground to get a lot of security on the tripod, you want to make sure that you're moving all the way out in a way that you'd be able to actually have a lot of control of the gun and have a proper engagement on target. This is another time to point out that depending on the distance that you're going at and depending on the reticle you might have on your pistol, whether it be a red dot or if you're using a rifle on your optic, the few things you want to take into account is where the bullet's actually going to impact. If your gun is completely on the side and it's aiming sideways as opposed to right up, having the gun on the side could actually have the bullet trajectory impact a different location than you might be familiar with. So if it's a position you think you might get yourself into, practice at different distances at the range and see what that effect will be on your rifle or your pistol so you can make sure you could compensate for that. Obviously, you want to do that on paper, have a point of aim that you're going to aim at that, fire at that, and then see where that bullet lands. If you have a pistol with a red dot, remember that there's a little bit of movement that happens when you're using your red dot, so it might not be as centered as you might think it could be, and the further and further out you go, the more of an effect it might potentially have. So those are just things you might want to take into consideration. This is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com. Thank you for watching.